Hey folks, welcome back to Game Geeks. I'm your host, Kurt Wiegel. Today we're going to be reviewing a group of games from Triple Ace Games. They are going to be the HELLFROST Encounters book, the Sundered Skies Companion, and a series of supplements for All for One Regime Diabolique, which is the Musketeer fighting the forces of darkness game. We're going to start with the HELLFROST Encounters book. What this is exactly what it says on the tin. This is a series of encounters. There are 50 encounters in this book, and each one of them is set up on one page or a pair of pages, so the GM only has to have one book open in front of them. It contains a map and all of the stats you need for that encounter. It gives you also the rank you need for each encounter, so can you do this when you're novice, when you're seasoned, veteran, what have you, all the way through this. This is an excellent game aid for the busy HELLFROST GM. So, oh crap, the guys are coming over tonight, and I had to get all that stuff graded, and I had to write another grant. I didn't have time to do an adventure. Oh gosh, do I cancel? No, I do Rain of Stones. And here's an entire little encounter. So what it is it leads you in. There's the italicized text which you read, and then it has the monster stats, all the information you need, and it's all contained right here with a nice little section called Continuation, where you basically, if you want to, you can just keep going from that if other ideas haven't sparked. Also, contained at the back of this book, which is really nice, is a section solely on running Mercenary Bands, or a more militaristic campaign. So instead of individual discrete groups of people who wander around the countryside looking for wrongs to right and bad guys to beat up and take their stuff, now you can be mercenaries and you work for organizations, and it deals with your basic mission, some things that go wrong with it, backup and allies, or other things you have to fight. And it gives you nice random tables so you can build that. It's an interesting variant on your standard fantasy game. So if you're fans of, say, the Black Company books by Glenn Cook, here's a good option for you to try. Also buried all the way at the back is just quick encounters. Oh boy, so I roll an 11. Well, you know what? I hear you. And so then there's a voice on the wind that the characters hear, and they get to go and investigate that. So this is really good if you're just looking for something to intersperse between your normal campaign and your, like, just individual adventures in your normal campaign. You want to throw something different in there. Great book to use. The second thing we're going to talk about is the Sundered Skies Companion. Now, what this is it is an add-on supplement to the Sundered Skies game, which we reviewed way back when. This has a lot of specific Sundered Skies information, where this, the HELLFROST book, could really be used in almost any Savage Worlds fantasy game if we wanted to. This, really, you're going to get the most miles per gallon out of this if you attach it to a Sundered Skies game. What does that mean? Well, what this gives you at the very front is what life is like in the skies. What life is like in the Sundered Skies world. So it gives you superstitions, problems, traditions, other stuff like that. And then it gives you some new widgets to use in your game. New heritages if you're an elf, so different kinds of plants you can take on, new wildling abilities, different animals, a host of new edges, a host of new applications for skills, new gear, etc. One of the things that brings in, I really like, is the dwarven munition. So now your dwarves have become your true gunsmiths. They use gunpowder for all sorts of crazy stuff. Then it gives you a bunch of new islands that you can work with. Some of these have been introduced in other adventures. Some of these are new to here. Then it gives you a series of savage tales that you, like, individual discrete little adventures you can plug in, again, in between either the plot point campaign provided in the Sundered Skies rulebook or some of the adventures you get also from Triple Ace Games. One of the things I really liked about this is it gives you cults and secret societies of the Sundered Skies. So this gives you a bunch of either bad guys for your players to work against or people to work with your group. So you've got the Circle of Nine, which is a bunch of really dark and evil demonologists who are interested in bringing the abyss to the Sundered Skies, or the Trade Council, who's pretty much the governing body of the Sundered Skies, if such a thing can exist. I really dig this book. I groove off of the whole dark fantasy, steampunk, science fiction feel of Sundered Skies. So this is a great book. It's a great companion for that product if you like the Sundered Skies in general. Now, these are the Régime Diabolique. I took high school French. Does it show? The Régime Diabolique supplements. These are available as PDFs only from the Triple Ace Games website. These give you expansions on some of the ideas available in the All for One game. So what you have are things like Creatures of Sin, which are more monsters for your musketeers to fight. Nobles and Courtiers, which are sort of like gives you a focus on making characters that are specifically involved in the high courts of the king and other halls of power. You have nautical adventures, or as I like to call it, nautical naughtiness, so that you can really take your game to the open seas, which, as a small sidebar, if you are really interested, what you could do is tie in sort of the Pirates of the Spanish Main era, even though that's a Savage Worlds game, with this All for One era, although this is Ubiquity, so you'd have to do some conversion. So you could all of a sudden be musketeers over in the Caribbean, trying to figure out what's going on and how the threat to the king is starting over there. Or maybe even going to look for this exiled scholar who knows all about this one kind of demon that you need to fight. So all of a sudden you have to go over to Port-au-Prince to find him so you could get involved with saving the king, which is kind of the point of most of All for One is save the king. There's also a couple of adventures that are included in these that are available for download. One of the things I like about this adventure, Force Majeure, is that it really gives you a good introduction to using Ubiquity, the setting, and what your characters are supposed to do. It's a 3-part adventure you could expand into 3 evenings in which you it starts out at a party, so you have some potential for social interactions, sneaking around, dueling, that then leads you to an investigation, that then leads you to some monsters. The second adventure contained in here, Le Mousquetaire de Sonray, is basically one longer adventure that is the beginning of again, 3 parts. Part 1 is available now. Other parts will be available at later times at the time of this filming. Also, you've got the Wondrous Devices, which is sort of gadgets and gizmos, which is another one of these add-on supplements, and expanded characters. If you want to make someone who's not necessarily a musketeer, but you want to adventure in that era, these are for you. These are what you expect from Triple Ace Games and their PDFs. They're very well designed, they're very well written, and they are extremely well put together. The longer ones have the ability to turn off the background to save you on some toner or printer ink if you're like me and you need to print things because you don't read off of a screen very well. So if you like the Régime Diabolique game, if you like All for One, you like Ubiquity, and you want expansions to the game, you cannot go wrong with these. Along those lines, Sundered Skies, great if you love the game, and just a great overall expansion of what life is like to live in the Sundered Skies, including a section on why nobody bathes, which I thought was pretty funny. I got a laugh out of that. And the Encounters book for HELLFROST. Quick adventures if you want throw something in between a normal set and your campaign. You can't go wrong there either. For Game Geeks, I'm your host, Kurt Wiegel. Good day and good gaming.